Alright, welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to play around with tape, electrical tape mainly. We're throw these in for the fun of it. We don't know what's going to happen. We have a way of measuring tensile strength. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. We'll see. We'll battle between the noisy cars and noisy neighbors and see what we can do here. But we have various types. We have Super 88, Super 33, a favorite of many people. We have 3M37, don't see that too often. 1700, 1776, which is the Made in America version. We have 3M165, Shurtape, and Shurtape is swinging for this guy, so we'll see how it holds up. We have Warrior Wrap, we'll see how strong it really is. And we have this off-name stuff that's been flying around here. We'll give it a try. Not an overly scientific test we're going to do. We're just going to wrap it around something and stick it to itself and see where it breaks at. All these have been sitting in the sun, so they're warm. If this was in the cold, it would be a much different test, which maybe we'll try that yet, but we'll have to wait for it to get colder. So let's see what we get. So we have the Klau load cell gauge here. It's for cranes, and you can just, pull on it and it'll read. And the nice thing about this one is I had tested one here and we got tensile strength of 4 pounds till it broke. So this hopefully will give us a relatively equal measurement for all of them. What we got is all relative. It's this tool is not a scientific thing, but we'll compare them all the same way and do the test the same way. So all we're gonna do is wrap the tape around this and stick it to itself over this, and that should give us something to pull on, and we'll just tension up on the hoist here and see where it breaks at. And just for the fun of it, our tape is hanging right around 75, 73 degrees. I think all of them are about the same. Yeah, 75 degrees. So we're doing about a 75-degree Fahrenheit test. So let's give the presumably the cheapest one a go first. We got the Columbia Plymouth wrap. And see what we get. I'll get this rigged up and we'll be back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it here, wrap it around itself, and then pull off enough for this to stick to itself over the hook. Over the hook and stick to itself. Let's lower that a little bit. So we got it stuck to itself, and we have our scale at 0. So now we're just going to nudge the crane up. You can see we're getting tension. Hold your head the right way and maybe you'll catch no glare on this thing. So there we go, we broke at 3.5 pounds. Okay, so let's try the fairly industry standard here, 1700 3M tape. This stuff's used wide, pretty common stuff to have on the job. Okay, so here we go, 1700. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we can see that broke, tore right off. Right where, nice clean break right after where it's taped together. So that's probably a decent representation of tensile strength. The other tape had broken the exact same way, So let me get all this off of here and we'll try the next one. Next up, we'll go for the 3M 1776, made in the USA. This has been around a little while. I think it's trying to obviously do this market. I think that the specs are the same between 1700 and 1776. Some of these are a little older. This one's from 2015. That may have some effect on our test. This 1700's from 2020. But hey, we're just playing around here. Alright, here we go on 1776. So that's the highest one we got so far, 4.5 pounds. And we can see, same thing, even tear right after the part where it was taped together. You can see it here. Stretched it out quite a bit. So 1776, better than made in Mexico. Next up, we'll try the 3M 165. I believe this is another product that's kind of interchangeable with 1700. It's that cheaper market range. Let's see what we get. Alright, 3M 165, here we go. That really didn't have a whole lot of tensile strength there. Broke right at 2.5 pounds. Hey, that's why we're playing with it. The 3M 165. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit more of a fair test. We did do a few of these multiple times just to see if that we got the same thing. This 165 is the only one that we got 2.5 and 3.5 on. So this does have a 3.5 tear, and you can see we had a typical tape tear failure there. So 3.5 on the 165. Okay, and alright, so the Warrior wrap. Let's see how strong this is. Loathed by many. Let's see what it can do. I do have to say, just opening this tape, it's really shoddy quality. It just doesn't feel very... The adhesive's very crappy on it. That might be another test we could do, is just cut it with a scissors instead of tearing it like I am, and sticking like an inch of it to itself and see if the adhesive's even strong enough to break the tape. But it actually feels very much akin to this no-name Chinese wrap stuff. Let's see what we get though. Alright, here we go, Warrior wrap. Actually a surprising result. 3.5 pounds. Now this stuff barely sticks to anything, including itself. It seems to stick reasonably well. But when I was starting to wrap it on here, I was having a very hard time getting it to stick. So I believe that's another part of this whole thing. We're testing the ability to tear it and make it fail this way. The adhesive not wanting to stick to anything makes it very hard to pull wire. Okay, moving on, we're going to go with 3M37 here. I have fond memories of this when I was working for a company. This was all they bought, so let's give this a test. I don't know what the stuff cost in relation to the other tapes, but this stuff always performed well, so let's see what kind of tensile strength it has. Okay, now putting that stuff on, this was the most flexible tape we've had so far. This stuff is very, very shaping, to what we're working on. So it actually seems like it's getting a good adhesion to what we're wrapped around. In fact, we can actually see the letters through the hook. So that's give you an idea how much that tape actually sticks to things. Alright, 3M37. Let's see what we get. Okay, we had failure. I'll bring the crane back down so you can see what we had. We had 5 pounds. This tape was very stretchy. You can see for all of the other tapes, we were failing in the range of what we have the camera adjusted here. And this tape stretched well beyond that. And that's actually a sign of a decent tape, because you want it to stretch when you're pulling wire and everything else. This is good tape. Alright, let's go with the Super 88. This is kind of unusual tape. I don't really run into this myself. The companies I work for never really get this. But this too, you can feel, is a very stretchy tape. This is from 2007, so it does have some age on it. But we'll wrap it around a few times and just get a single layer, and I think we'll get a decent representation. Okay, so here we go. Super 88. Had a little extra stick there. Okay, so we're off the scale again. But we are at 4.5 pounds. This was some very stretchy tape. You can still see on this that it has very good resolution of the hook. This is very good tape that's flexible, and it stretched quite a bit until it finally failed. Next up, product, Shurtape. I've not had any contractors buy this. This was a free sample that was given to me from a trade show. So full disclosure, didn't pay anything for this one. But hey, what the heck, let's give her a go. I know that these guys are swinging for this market. So let's see what we get. Okay, here we go with the Shurtape. Get a little tension on it there. Let the crane calm down. Okay, so the Shurtape actually has the highest number. That stuff had pretty good stretch to it. I have to say, wrapping it on, it doesn't feel completely hard, but it does feel a little more stiff than the 3M products that we were playing with. It's not as hard to take off as the 3M stuff was. That stuff really seems to stick. The Super 88 and the 37 so far. But overall, not a bad product at this temperature. We'll see if we can do a cold weather test sometime, what happens to this. Okay, so the long-awaited industry standard. Let's see what Super 33 can do. Okay, so the Super 33, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this stuff has just completely shaped to the shape of this hook on the scale. That is really what this stuff is good at. It's just really flexible tape that sticks very well, and that's just really what you want for pulling wire and everything. Well, you know, stuff that you're really pulling on. When you're sealing splices and stuff like that, this stuff can change and get around the rubber and seal it well. It shapes to everything. It doesn't leave little nooks and crannies that water can get in. And that's really the biggest thing with some of that. But today we're not talking about that. We're talking about tensile strength. So let's see what this stuff can do. Here we go, Super 33. Okay, so we can see Super 33, actually not the strongest tape that we're testing here, but flexibility wise and adhesive wise, this and the 88, I'd say this is actually more flexible than the 88. It just is a really flexible tape. You can see with the hook here that we can really see everything very well through the tape. So that means a nice thin tape with a good adhesive. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully that was interesting. Give me a minute and we'll get the tally together and compare what everything was. Okay, so what did we learn from this? Well, it's kind of interesting, but believe it or not, the most coveted tape, the 3M Super 33, had the lowest pound ratio. We tested it twice, and it had 3 pounds. Now, something interesting, you can look at the image then and compare. We found specs that should have said about what these tapes can hold. I don't know, there was a bunch of things there, and we did approximations, so not overly scientific, but some of these claim to be pretty strong, and obviously none of them got as high as what they claimed in our test, but they probably didn't get to their numbers the same way we did, so that's always to be expected. But kind of a fun thing to play around with, but it was very interesting to see that the tape that everybody likes to use actually the least amount of tensile strength. So that just goes to show that tensile strength isn't everything. The adhesive itself has a lot to do with how good your tape is, and that sounds pretty obvious, but it's obviously true. So I hope you found this interesting. I know we're backlit and blown out with the video here, but it was fun playing around with the electrical tape. This is one test that we can do, the tensile strength tear on the tapes. We'll see if we can come up with some other tests. I don't know if my rig is going to be able to accurately measure the adhesive, because I am half-pound increments. I don't know if we're going to be able to get the adhesive to be strong enough on all of these. Some of them may just be off the scale, which Warrior Wrap, yeah, it barely sticks to itself, so that's going to be something that we might have to play around with to try and get an actual thing, or we'll just say, hey, it doesn't even stick enough to be on the scale. But this was all the tape stuck to itself. We might be able to give a try sticking the tape to something. So we'll play around with some ideas there. Overall, I think this was a fun little thing. Nothing overly scientific because, you know, having experience with these things, the tape with the lowest shear tensile strength is likely the one you're going to want to use the most. So tensile strength isn't everything with tape, and hopefully we can show that in a little bit more detail on a future video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. for the fun of it, blue painter's tape. Let's see what we get. Actually broke. This stuff actually broke. This stuff actually broke on the hook. So this stuff is not at all good for Tensile. But why would it be? It's designed to be painter's tape.